Hey everybody, David here. I'm like 8 seconds early. Since I'm a little early, I'm going to play my disclaimer because none of this is meant to be legal or financial advice. We're going to be talking about some legal international stuff that's really important if you're an active trader on KuCoin. And hopefully, this broadcast will give you some insights and information that you will find valuable. All right, so most people that are going to watch this will be probably watching it tomorrow. And tomorrow, or actually today, is the 14th, and the policy changes on KuCoin begin at whatever their time zone is, midnight on the 15th. We're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. I've got a lot of information to cover. I've got a lot of ideas I normally would only share to Patreon subscribers or founders of DDTC, but this is going to be impacting a lot of people, and a lot of folks don't understand some things that we should be fighting for as U.S. citizens, and some of how our rights have been subverted. So I have got literally an outline to go through, and I want to talk about a lot of stuff. At the end, I'll be talking about, I haven't been online for a while. Well, I haven't. I've been kind of busy. I've been working with spreadsheets and doing my own trading and things like that. We might get into a little bit of that, but what's going on? So let's open this up. Okay, so what we have here is if you go to create an account and you try to process a KYC as a U.S. citizen, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get successfully signed up. You provide personal information, which gives you level 1 access, which gives you leverage up to 20x. That is debatable because you, as a U.S. citizen, may not be allowed to have that. But so far, this is what this looks like. This is an account that was validated, what was attempted to validate a year ago. I've got a variety of accounts. If some U.S. citizens have registered KYCs that have passed KYC certification. If you did it before the U.S. government understood what KYC was and started doing all the stuff they've been doing, KuCoin is one of the few exchanges that are actually not a few. They took KYC very, very seriously. Anyway, we don't know if those accounts are going to be restricted, even though they currently show having passed level 2 and level 3. So let's see, level 1. What does level 1 give you? Access up to 20 leverage. Daily withdrawal of 25,000 USDT. For most people that are trading, if you're not wealthy, that's not going to be a big issue. But the 20x leverage is more leverage than you can find here in the United States. Let's see. Let's go through here. Level 2 basically is a larger USDT withdrawal limit. Neither level 1 nor level 2 allow you to do a fiat deposit. Level 3, however, allows you to do a fiat deposit, although I've never actually done that. But you have like nearly $1 million of USDT on a daily basis, $200,000 USD, and you have access up to 125x leverage. And I think that's just Bitcoin. Everything else is like 100x, like on Ethereum and things like that. So right now, you have access to that. If you wouldn't find USA on their list of countries anymore. What you would find is other, and then you would do the process, and you would be simply told that they cannot accept your KYC, but it would unlock you with limited capabilities. So right now, I don't know if this account is restricted yet or not. Let's see, derivatives, futures. Yeah, I usually access this through the app. So they've made a lot of changes since I've actually logged into the website. So here is an example of their derivatives market, futures. This is the US margin contracts. So if I go in, yeah, I don't even think it shows. Oh, so it shows your leverage here. So right now, today, I have access to 125x leverage on Bitcoin. Now, because they won't accept the KYC, when they implement their policy, it's going to be down here somewhere around 20 will be the leverage, which is still functional. I mean, years ago, I did a project called HD1 or Homeless David 1, and it's a long story. And I showed how you could double your money with no more than 3x leverage. It took, I think, 59 days, making every mistake I could think of at the time. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to the KYC screen. So we don't know what's going to happen. This account has been here for a year, at least a year, but shows an identity validation of level one. And unless you predated that, you probably won't have access to leverage after the 15th. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Now, I have a list of things I want to talk about and why it's a problem. So I'm just going to get into it. If you have a KYC, if you have a KuCoin account, you've been notified of this, whether you've been verified or whatever. So if you go in there and it shows you verified, levels 1, 2, and 3, then most likely they're grandfathering you in, but we're not going to know for sure until after the 15th. What this does impact is any kind of leverage trades that you have that are over 20x. Um, the folks that I work with privately, I've suggested that, especially after today. Did you guys see what happened? You have to be under a rock, and if you saw what happened to be, Bitcoin, XRP, Ripple, and Ethereum, right? We had a massive rally, and it's interesting to see what it's play out. Is this the start of the bull run? It would really, really suck if this is the start of the bull run and all US citizens are now suddenly restricted to up to 20x without going to a DeFi exchange or something like that, which is one of the options that you can do. The problem is you usually are IP restricted, so you have to use a VPN, that sort of thing. And there was some legislation where they wanted to make it against the law for US citizens to circumvent their rules with a VPN. Which I don't think they got that passed, but who knows? I mean, jail time and all sorts of cool stuff. But there's other options. There's other options that are legal options, and one of the things I'm researching right now, and I'm sharing my results with Patreon and DTC founders, is the concept of a global financial citizen concept. I'm going to have my voice is failing me. It's end of day for me, and I need to go get some water. So I'm going to take a short little break, and I'll be back here in a minute. All right, I'm back. I had a drink of water. My voice is better, and I also changed some screens. Let's throw on a little ambient music while we're here today, and let's just take a look at what happened today. I'm going to make one of these larger. I'm not going to explain what these are, why these charts are. I've done that in other videos. So go to YouTube and watch some other stuff. So what we have here is the 30-minute, the hourly, the 3-hour, and the 6-hour. In fact, I'll maximize this. So sometime today at U.S. market open, this happened. Probably been reading a lot of news about all the people, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars of people who, lost money in shorts and blah, 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 blah. I didn't see any reports about all the people who actually made bank and money. I had actually several of my bots max out and auto terminate at really nice profit. I wish this would have, I should have just, I didn't know the ruling was coming about XRP, but whatever. If you want to see what XRP did today, yeah, I can't even, if I try to make this so you can see what XRP was doing compared to what it did, this is the hourly graph I'm looking at here. This is the trading channel that it's been in because of the SEC crap. And then some judge announced some ruling and it mooned. It went from what? 47 cents. Really? You're going to do that to me? To a high of 93 cents. So it over doubled in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours or 4 hours. So, yeah, so I wish I would have set my exit higher. I was expecting it to channel up to 60 cents and then back down, but I just should have been paying more attention. I guess that's what happens when you, have a normal day job or something. Can't keep track of all that stuff. Anyway, a very exciting day for those of us who were prepared to take advantage of it. A lot of folks, including myself, were wanting like, oh man, I wish I would have left that trade in last night. It's like closing out and stuff. And so I had one of those too. It's like, but it doesn't really matter to me. So I've got a student who's very close to me, and around November, December, she decided to create her own trading style to trade with $100 to make $100 to supplement her income. And she's using a hybrid version of a high leverage trading process that I created like 2 years ago. And anyway, she's created this little, really, oddly enough, a low risk, high leverage trading process. I'm not going to get into that, but she doesn't have a verified account on KuCoin because they wouldn't allow her to verify because she's a U.S. citizen. So this is the problem and why I'm recording this. So I basically told her, listen, just exit out of your trades and your buy and holds are fine. Any bot, they don't have more than 10x leverage on bots anyway. So she should have that. Any bot she has running is not going to be a big deal on the exchange. But if she was in a high leverage position, who knows what they're going to do with it? I need to drink some water. I'm not going to put it on pause again. So you just have to bear with me. So what do we do? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Why is our pursuit of happiness being infringed? And that is part of the concept. But I'll be talking about that a little bit later, but I want to talk about what you can do. We kind of have to wait to see what they do. I wrote customer support a couple days ago saying, hey, I've got some accounts. I've submitted all the KYC paperwork. I even have a corporate account. That's a whole nother story I won't get into. They wouldn't pass the KYC because I'm a U.S. citizen, which really pisses me off because it's like I'm right up there with North Koreans and Iranians in the world. And it's just like, I'm not any of these. And the reason why this is happening is because we have allowed our rights to be disrupted even before I was born. I'm 59 years old. Okay. And this is where you're thinking qualified investor status. No, no, no. This is worse than that. This is ECP status, which is a requirement in order to trade leverage on commodities exchanges and derivatives in the United States. If you read in the description, you can do it later or bring up another window. I had Bard give me the ECP status. I'll just read out real quick. You have to have a net worth of $10 million. And you have to have a liquid net worth of at least $5 million. You have to have traded in commodities or derivatives for at least the last 4 of the past 5 years and pass a suitability test administered by the Exchange Clearinghouse. See, I found my mute button. You didn't have to hear that. So, yeah, nobody except for like a hedge fund or something is going to be able to do this. Already rich, I call already rich pricks are the only ones that are allowed to have freedom. I can demonstrate years of trading at high leverage with 0 losses. I can show that with small amounts of money, as little as 0. I showed someone how to. I did this as a test last year. I started with $0, was given $5 on a trial fund, which only lasted like 10 days, and I had to give the money back plus half my profits. And I completed what's called 10 missions. If you don't understand, 10 missions. If you don't understand, 10 and a half missions. If you don't understand what that is, I demonstrate it on my YouTube channel, and there's a lot of content there. So it's really, really cool. The whole purpose was I wanted to demonstrate that a homeless person without banking could start with 0. I proved that it could be done. And you could just continue the process and achieve any financial success you want. This new thing, KuCoin was like outside of a DeFi network or exchange that you have to access through a VPN and hope that they don't discover that you're a U.S. citizen, because they might seize your funds. Not necessarily the most reliable kind of thing. But the point is, KuCoin was like the last bastion of hope for a U.S. citizen. And it looks like they're not cutting us completely off, but they're trying to be more compliant. And it's just horrifying, because like I literally trained someone that takes $100 and gets 100% ROI, usually by the 20th, 22nd of the month. Although last month they did $200 because I taught them a little bit more how to do a little bit more compounding. They pull $100 out of the market every month, USD net spendable, because they had a rent increase and they just want to cover it. So they learn how to do it. Now, here's the thing. They pay taxes on it, right? They're not hiding anything from the government. But now she's not going to be able to do it. She's not going to be able to do it. She builds up her account to a much larger thing. It's much more risky to be in the markets longer. Like, I got a 33% return actually, most of it in 3 minutes, but I do what's called a staged exit. And I was in and out of the market in 5 minutes. The only way I could do that and get that kind of ROI, especially in a slow market, is with high leverage. So this doesn't protect anybody. It's already rich pricks wanting to make sure no one else has the opportunity to become wealthy. And we're like one of the few nations in the world that restricts their citizens like this, which is crazy as the U.S. is. It's in our DNA. And anyway, so KYCs are discrimination. Why? Well, in the United States, to pass a KYC, you need your driver's license, you need to have a physical address, and you have to show a current utility bill. Most homeless people cannot do that. So every single one of them are being discriminated against based on their financial status, as well as digital nomads. You don't have an apartment in the United States. You don't have a utility bill. You're maybe working out of Italy, but you're a U.S. citizen. Well, you can't show a U.S. residency address, although you may have a driver's license or a passport, so the passport will work, but you don't have a utility bill. Good luck. KuCoin, I don't think their new KYC is going to require that. But the already wealthy people in America have finally got the government to get us so isolated that our opportunities to become wealthy have been infringed upon. They already have been, but they kind of let things slide. Well, KuCoin has shown up in the news in the last 6 months, and I think they're a cool exchange. They are on top of their security. I think they're an amazing. I think they're better than Binance personally, but they're kind of like a mini Binance. U.S. citizens were kicked off from Binance, in 2016 after the elections. So, Republicans didn't do much for us. Sorry. Um, but neither side of the coin, it's just kind of really weird why our rights, I want all my rights as a citizen. I'm kind of more of an independent, but not to get into that conversation, but it's like, it's our rights. Both sides will agree with that. So KYCs is a form of discrimination. I mean, they say, oh, well, we got to stop human trafficking. We got to stop this, that, and everything. It's like, they're not stopping anything. That US dollar is the most favored currency for illicit everything. And everything that's illicit is a result of prohibitions, right? Outlaw drugs create the black market, right? Human trafficking, that's just a really icky thing. But who has the money to deal with human trafficking and buy those services? Already wealthy people, you know. That one dude that died in prison, that was like the pedophile island guy. I don't remember what his name is, right? Well, his list of clients were all wealthy, powerful people, and it was actually sealed the first time he was arrested for doing that crap. It's just crazy. So that's really in a qualified investor status. Most people have heard that, right? They haven't heard of this ECP thing. It says you already have to be rich in order to play the game. And the game right now is designed so maybe you can keep up with inflation if you're lucky, although long-term statistics don't support that, right? S&P 500, whatever. That it'll take you 200 years to become wealthy, starting with, let's say, $5 or even $1,000. It's crazy. I got a spreadsheet we can run the numbers and the timeline on it. It's insane. Anyone who accomplishes it, it's really a statistical anomaly compared to the rest of the population. And we are not even allowed to play. The closest thing we're allowed to play is maybe in options. But you have to pony up thousands of dollars just to open up an options account. There was one place out there where I think you could do it. Smallest trade's $150. I did some research on this because we're looking at backup plans, also Forex and everything. The thing with options is kind of like high leverage trading with a ticking time bomb where there's like a 93 or 94% chance of failure unless you're the one writing the option. And who writes the option? Already wealthy people. Who gets the ticking time bomb? The people who are trying to grow their wealth. It's a rigged system. And cryptocurrency has upset that and is continuing to upset that. We should be marching in the streets. We march in the streets over silly stuff. This stuff has been there so long, we're just used to being treated like peasants. So that is your access to opportunities globally and in the United States is restricted based on your financial status. It's a form of discrimination, just like racism, sexism. You're broke, you don't have access. You can't even play. You're not even allowed. The really good opportunities, like with zero risk, like pre-IPO when it's in the process of packaging, as soon as the bell rings, those people made 18,000% return selling it to all of us pre-IPO and IPO folks. They're done when the bell rings. We're not allowed to participate unless we are like a founder or we are a family member of a founder kind of person. It's discrimination, and we haven't even had the political debate because no one we elect on either side of the aisle even understands it. And the ones that kind of do understand it, it doesn't really impact them because they're already wealthy. They don't care. They can get a secondary passport and citizenship by just putting $250,000 in a bank somewhere in any number of countries, totally legal. And, oh, well, today I am, from Panama or I'm from New Zealand. But you and I can't do that. But there is something we can do. It started in 2014 out of Estonia. I don't think I had that information in here. It's on my Patreon. I publish some of this stuff publicly there, so you can go get it there. There's another country that showed up on the radar. The Wall Street Journal, WSJ, published an article talking about this new country, and that's all they do is they're giving you you still have to have a passport and ID and all that stuff, pass a KYC, and a global Interpol type background check to make sure you're not a criminal, a felon, a human trafficker, money laundering, or drugs, right? They screen you that way. Well, Estonia does it, and I don't know, it's like $100 EU, which is what, $150, $200 US. But you have to go to one of their consulates to pick it up. It's a digital ID, which was created for the digital nomads. right? They're on a 2-year assignment out of Italy. Maybe they're going to Norway after that, whatever. This gives them a centralized place to operate with for banking, all sorts of stuff, right? They're still U.S. citizens or whatever. The only two restrictions I found for a digital, it's not really a citizenship. It's a global financial digital identification. It's issued by a country. Okay. It doesn't give you citizenship rights. They've ID'd you. So for those purposes, like Estonia's got some really cool stuff. It might take you 30 days to a couple months to have that process. And they have a great website. Oh my gosh, you could go visit. I mean, they're like total high tech. You will wish our government was run that way. They are using blockchain. They're securing information, securing voting, securing medical records, pharmaceutical records. They really have their shit together using technology. They want to become a global leader, and they are. Whoever heard of Estonia before crypto? You didn't. Wise move, Estonia. Shout out to Estonia. But you have to show up to a consulate. So in the United States, it's New York or San Francisco. What's really cool, I visited their website like May of this year. Their consulate kind of visited, for some reason, Seattle in order to process digital IDs and similar businesses so people in Seattle wouldn't have to drive all the way down or fly all the way down to San Francisco. Why? Because there's probably a lot of digital nomads based out of Seattle. I mean, it's crazy. I wish I would have seen that. So that's one thing. The other country, I don't have the name of it. It's kind of hard to pronounce. I think it starts with a P. It's different. It's like $300 US a year. It's renewal, and you can do a 5-year, 10-year in advance. Makes sense to probably do it 1 year at a time. It's basically a wash financially. But they will send you the ID, and you also get a digital ID. What's interesting with Estonia is once you have your digital ID, you can set up a corporation in Estonia in like 1 to 2 business days. Fast and cheap. Yeah. So, and there's no taxes on corporate gains or revenue until you take the money out. And then it's a 20% flat rate tax. There are better deals out there, but I'm not going to get into the strategies and all sorts of stuff on an international basis, but that is interesting. And the United States is not even keeping up with, I don't know, Russia. I don't know. It's embarrassing. So I don't know what the impact is going to be with this KuCoin chain. I wrote to them saying, hey, what about grandfathered accounts that have been trading for years? I haven't got an answer yet. And it may be that anyone that wanting to do this, you're going to have to go get a global financial digital citizenship. There's like, I don't know, 10 different countries that do this now. But there's 2 that are really kind of accepted by, in the crypto world, known there. Now, the other option is if you have the money is you get a secondary passport. And if you go over to International Living, they actually sell a book and get you a PDF written by a U.S. former, whoever the top federal person is that's in charge of those programs. I mean, people outside the United States can become U.S. citizens through certain type of financial investments. I think it's like $10 million or something like that. But yeah, wealthy people have freedom and liberty. If you don't have that $10 million net worth and $5 million liquid, the deck is stacked against you. I mean, I was able to prove that I could double my money in as little as 6 days with high leverage trading. No losses. I know you hear like, well, anyone who says that, you're not supposed to, they're all full of shit, and so like, no. People don't have the right trading rules. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to handle leverage, because even when you read about the $100 million hedge fund just lost because Bitcoin took a 4% dip. Well, those dips are kind of small compared to where they were 2 or 3 years ago. And, well, what's different about me? This is strategy, mathematical strategy. Having AI available is just really cool. I'm redoing all my spreadsheets. My tools for trading are they were always good, but they've leveled up. I'm thinking about actually converting some of them into an app once they get hammered out. Like I had some friends saying, yeah, David, we're stuck. If they would have just waited, but they were stuck in a trade because, the markets kind of were flat and went down a little bit, right? For about a week or two. It was about a week. I'm not going to look it up on the charts. Whatever it was. And I says, well, I gave them a strategy on how to literally bring the price, their entry price down. And of course, that would impact their liquidation costs. And I had a strategy for how they could do both at the same time, or do one and then do the other one. And some of this is like quadratic equation stuff and linear algebra. No, not linear, linear regression algebra stuff. And, I took that in college, like 30 years ago, but I can converse with like ChatGPT or Bard and work through it. And it's just been amazing. I love AI. If you're an AI hater, I'm sorry. I actually wrote and published a book called Forbidden AI. It's on, it's kind of interesting. I think it'll save humanity if we look at it properly. Anyways, I was testing Kindle publishing and things like that. Anyway, segue. Sorry about that. So what can you do? That's about the only thing you can do. Right now, we have to wait. We'll have to see if KuCoin will do a workaround. We'll have to see if they will grandfather in existing accounts. We're not going to know that probably till the 16th. They probably are overloaded with customer service requests. They're on Telegram, but they get thousands of things a day. Anyway, I'll probably end up hearing back from them sometime next week. Their customer service is actually really, really good until they get overloaded. But I don't want to say how long I've been with them. I've been with them a long time, and I've been very impressed with them. Yeah, I got screwed by Voyager too and stuff like that too. So if you look in the description, right, are these workarounds lawful? At this time they are, in terms of getting, to the best of my knowledge, in terms of getting a digital global citizenship out of Estonia or some other place. If you're just tuning in now, go back to the beginning or something like that. This will be worthwhile. Some of the stuff I've already shared. I can't go back and just repeat stuff. I already explained why KYCs are discrimination. Qualified investor status is actually for the stock market. ECP status is kind of where commodities is governed with higher requirements. Oh, things you can do to protest. Oh, didn't I? Oh man, it got stripped out. It's called Resist Bot. Just type that in. Everyone should participate in that. You should be writing your federal, state, Congress, senators, everything. Makes it easy. It's free unless you want to chip in a few dollars. Then you get some benefits, but it's a way of participating politically without spending hours of time. You can do it right from your cell phone. I've been complaining about some of this stuff now for 2 years, at least once a week, it seems. Let's see. Yeah, we're not going to know how this is all going to impact us. Let's see here. This was basically what I wanted to cover. And I'll probably do a follow-up after I learn more. And I usually do these broadcasts specifically on YouTube because I'm trying to build that up as a channel because it auto-monetizes. I work for a living like everyone else. I trade for a hobby, and I get amazing results because of what I consider strategy. And I've been training people on how to do it privately, friends and family, for going on 3 years now. I've been mainly focusing on revamping my spreadsheets, and I'm 59 years old, and I want to retire next year. And if I do not have the ability to do high leverage trading, I'm gonna have to come up with a different strategy, and I'm already working on that. But this is like crypto is one of the easiest way to make money out of thin air I've ever seen, and the least risky thing. And those that are making decisions it's talking about how risky it is, and it's gambling. Like buying an option isn't gambling. Are you kidding me? We hear about option expiry. They bet on a short, they bet on a long. I mean, they literally use the language, but yet when they're talking about crypto, they're talking about it being gambling. It's like, well, the entire stock market's gambling. I do not have any KYC requirements to walk into any casino, but to participate in business and trading, no, it's a big deal. And I resent it. And I want other people to be upset about it too. And start voting and letting people know that, hey, you're tired of being discriminated against as a U.S. citizen. In fact, I'm going to be writing the ACLU directly saying, Why aren't you protecting homeless people's rights? This KYC thing is discrimination against homeless people, as well as why are we allowing qualified investor and ECP statuses stopping from any U.S. citizen the right to do whatever the hell they want to do with their hard-earned money that they pay taxes on? If I can go into a casino and put $100 on the roulette table number 13, why can't I take $5 and turn it into $5 million trading crypto or commodities or whatever? Well, I can't do it with commodities because contracts are too expensive. I can't do it with options because the cost of entry is too expensive, right? But I can do it in crypto. It was like the miracle opportunity for people who weren't already ECP statused to actually be able to get there. And I don't know, I think they keep us angry about a lot of things. We get angry about the wrong things. We get angry about the wrong things as a citizenship, which makes sense because the reason why you don't see A&W root beer stands anymore is because they did a massive this is business history. You can look it up. It's hilarious. They did a massive campaign thinking they're going to outdo McDonald's and Burger King by offering a 1/3 pound burger. Their sales dropped because most of the U.S. population thought the number 3 meant it was a smaller burger than a 1/4 pounder. Not shitting you. Look it up. Seriously, get used to looking stuff up. And AI can help you look up and figure out stuff fast. They can do the analysis for you. Bard's actually pretty good now, and it actually has a nice, pleasing personality. I use Bard and ChatGPT 4, and every once in a while I use the 3. It's an evolving process, but it is very empowering. It can teach you stuff. That's another conversation for another time. But yeah, I wanted to cover this. If you're a U.S. citizen and you're in highly leveraged trades right now, you need to keep an eye on your KuCoin communications. It's probably, and right now it's probably not a bad idea if you're already in profit. Take your profit. Profit's profit. Not giving financial advice, but what I did and what I'm suggesting to my friends and family to do is, unless you're in a 20x or lower leverage trade on KuCoin, now's the time to take your profits. Now, if you're already in a loss or something, maybe they'll let the trade. What's upside down? I think Matic is the only thing that's upside down. XLM double. I guess Luna's still being Luna. SHIB is, yeah. I'm not going to go through all of them. I mean, there's like 17,000 coins now, but the main ones that most people trade or keep an eye on are doing really, really well right now. So, yeah, it's exciting. Let's see. Is there anything that I missed here? Nope. That's about it. So I'll wrap this up with, I have this little affirmation thing, which I use for teaching people. It's short. These are things I say to myself, for example, like last night, before the big thing that's happened this morning, I exited out of a trade that I've been in for a day. I got stuck in. After the trading fees, which were kind of crazy, I think I made like $2.50 profit. It's embarrassing, you know. Today in my sleep, I made over $1,000 because of automated stuff going on, and that was kind of cool. But I could have made like 4 or 5 times that if I wouldn't have set my exits. It's kind of weird. You get tired of seeing it pop up, and then you didn't get out, and then you restart, and then today it just kept on going. It's like, oh man, I've been waiting for this thing all year. I mean, I got a nice piece of it, but I could have had a massive piece of it. It's a frustration that you'll always have if you get good at doing crypto and stuff like that. Cool thing is I had proven earlier this year that you can probably double your account values using bots with no more than between 3x and 6x leverage. You can go as high as 10x leverage. And that was like a 31-day cycle. Anyway, I've got the numbers, the timelines. I have a process where people have a proof of concept, and then based on what they actually do personally, they can drop it in one of my spreadsheets, and it'll like give them a linear, not an accurate, a linear projection of how long it's going to take for them to achieve whatever their financial goal is. I call them missions. If you want to know what a mission is, pull out your calculator, start with $5, and multiply it times 2. I doubling your money, 100% ROI. So I teach a training regime of 20 missions. Okay. And in fact, I have some short little, like, 1 minute videos I recorded as shorts over on my YouTube station, which I can't share because if you share it, then I get copyright violations on the music. And I fought it. It took him 30 days to figure out, oh, he didn't violate a copyright. This was actually a cover. Anyway, I'm not going to do that anymore. I learned a lesson. It's not worth the pain. But if you go watch on YouTube, you can listen to music, 3 different soundtracks, really cool, demonstrates the 20 missions. It's simple. And what I teach people to do is do one mission. If you can't turn $5 into 10, it makes no sense for you to bring in $100,000 portfolio, right? But if you can do like missions 1 through 5 without any trading losses, or better, 1 through 10, at that point you will have learned so much in any market, crypto, options, whatever. You will have the skills to make good decisions independent of the crazy stuff that goes on that the professionals don't even know how to do this properly. There's some that do, right? My stats, I don't have them ready to throw up. I mean, I was like last 2 years on KuCoin, there are like 180 countries, right? My trading volume was in the top, was it 99.63? I beat out, I'm in the top less than 0.5%. Crazy. And it was all, not all, but the vast majority of it was high leverage futures trading. But my government doesn't think I'm qualified. Baloney. I resent it. And, if I was a lawyer, I'd figure out a way of suing them. Maybe we need to do a class action lawsuit against our own government for everyone who wants to trade, but now can't because we're being discriminated against. I wonder what that would look like. There's probably some law that prevents it. It will cost us hundreds of millions of dollars and 5 or 10 years of our lives to even get it to the Supreme Court. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe we all need to become political refugees and go to a crypto-friendly country. Very well may be worth it. It's another option. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. All right, I'm going to play this little thing, and then I'll just do my usual sharing my, just some personal stuff at the end of my videos, if you're still here. But this is kind of some affirmations that I found to be valuable over the last few years. Yeah, so that whole patience and profit thing is what bit me. I was not patient last night at 2 in the morning, and I should have been. You got to laugh or you'd cry. I've done both. Laughter's better. So this is for the gamers out there. I use this for transitioning. This is kind of cute. It's short, fun. Okay, I'm not advocating violence at all, but that's kind of cute. We're in a fight. We're in a fight for our freedoms. We're in a fight for just the opportunity. So let's talk about something a little different. So why haven't I been on for a while? Well, I published a book. I've been working on training stuff. It's very, very frustrating. Then AI and I became friends, and I'm working with it to redo some things, and it's just too much. And I discovered I use a sleep 8 bed system. I wasn't getting enough deep sleep, which was causing concussion-like impairments for me since I had COVID a year and a half ago. So figuring that all out has been an issue. All right, so let's look at the charts, because for those of you that actually are still here or still watching, I want to give you a little bit. I'll give you some training. I got a lot of training materials on Patreon, and I only have one membership level, and it's like, I think it's $5 a month. And the training is better, and not all the training is available there because I only have one subscriber. I know it's embarrassing to admit that. And that person didn't need to be a subscriber because they're a founding member of DATC, but they were helping me test that. but I publish there first, so they get the benefit of that. But, there are courses out there. A lot of them are like $1,500 marked down from 3,000, or $3,000 marked down from 6,000, or 6,000 marked down for 12,000, that basically teach the basic concepts of trading and basic indicators, which is a good foundation to have. But it's there if it the moment everyone's doing the same trading system, the trading system will no longer work. It just is what it is. So let me bring up, let's see here. Should we look at Bitcoin? Let's look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is doing a little bit more than more about what I'm looking for, so it'll be easy to demonstrate that. Let me explain these charts here. Everything on the left, this is a weekly, this is a daily, this is a 12-hour. Actually, let's put these all onto Bitcoin. So, where? Oh, I was setting alerts on Luna. And anyway, I have to go back to that as a project. Why? Because I have an automated bot with Luna that's, since the big thing, I've been making bank in a tax-free business and legal structure that's totally legal in the United States. And that structure may be impacted by this KuCoin thing. We'll see. Let's see here. This is all Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin. All right. So when I enter into trading, whether it's if I'm doing a bot or I'm doing active trading, there's different types of trading depending on what the market's doing. Anyone can make money in a bull run, but there's some really cool things you can do in a bull run to really exploit things. Yeah, if things are going down or things are going sideways, that's a whole different thing. But if there's a bear market, then that's a whole different set of issues. So, right now, if I look at the larger time frames, I'm seeing, let's see, the weekly, we're going up. If I'm looking at the daily, looks like we're going up. But this bottom one called MFI, it says, oh, but we're topped out on the daily. So are we peaking out at 3,200? Maybe. Or is it going to blast through? Unknown. Nobody knows except for maybe Will's, because the market, $1 trillion market, about half that is Bitcoin, is big enough to be manipulated by people who own billions of dollars. And I think they meet and coordinate stuff. So it is what it is. The U.S. stock market's huge, right? Bigger, right? I don't know, was it 17 trillion, 100 trillion? I don't know what it is. I'd have to ask AI for it. But they still can control stuff even at that size level. Anyway, that's way beyond my pay grade. And if you can figure out what they're up to and what they're doing and why they're doing it, you can, tag along. They're like big boats. It takes them a while to get in and out of the markets. Like, we look at this XRP thing. It took them, 4 or 5 hours to get in. That was a lot of big money moving in to cause that kind of a movement. But us little guys, we got things we can do, especially if we have excess leverage. If I come down here, this lower screen here, if I'm kind of doing more swing trading, like day to day, I want to be in and out in a day or in and out within a week, or sometimes you get stuck, right? Well, let's look at here. This is the hourly. What's this? So what has happened here? This is what happened here. We were at testing 30,000 and we had a $2,000 movement in, I don't know what, 8 hours, whatever that is. We can count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, half a day. But what's it doing now? It's coming down. Why is it coming down? This is some of the simplest things. I don't know why it took me so long to learn it. Because like when you catch one of these waves and you ride it up, you're wondering, how high is it going to go? How high is it going to go? That's where greed gets you. And what is greed? Greed is basically fear. You're afraid you're never going to have an opportunity like that again in your life. That's why trying to catch these things is not a really good strategy for building wealth. It's great when you can catch them, right? But it's not a good strategy. Why? Because you can't control this happening. That was only a 6% movement. Bitcoin used to have 10 to 30% movements throughout the day. Man, you could build an account from small fast. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And what you were able to do when that was happening was kind of gambling, but you almost always won if you knew a few things, which don't matter now because the market's not that hot. I mean, what we saw happen across 8 hours used to happen within minutes. I loved it. Miss it. I'll kick myself for not just quitting my job in trading for a month. All right. Can't grieve over that. So here is the 3 hour. Notice peaked out. It tested a little bit lower, tested a little bit higher, tested a little bit higher, but nothing. It didn't retest 32. It failed. All the people who are trained in traditional chart analysis says, well, it's coming down. Well, it's not coming down because of the chart. It's coming down because these people didn't get, some people got out. Smart money got out somewhere. Smart money started getting out down here and was getting out all the way up. That's what smart money was doing, right? And while everyone was, everything sucks, FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, they were buying. Every time there's a massive dip, they're buying. That's what I was doing, buying or launching bots or whatever, or setting up bots in the range because I never know when it's going to dip. So why not just set the deep range and just let it go? Excuse me. So these people, they let it test like 3 times after this, and they decide it's not going to go reach any more new highs. So they're starting to sell, to take their profits. And, what do I look for? Well, and this is the 6 hour over here, right? This little thing, this little equal, let's see if we can make it bigger so you can see it better. They call it doji. And these are not straight candles. These are Heikiashi candles. They're not the regular candles, which look differently. There's reasons to do one or the other. I usually am looking for the overall trend. So come on, where are you? This option kind of gives you a little bit better feel for the actual trend. It's a personal preference. I've used both. I just keep coming back to this one. So usually doji means reversal. Not always, but a lot of times it does. But what makes sense to me is smart money has figured out they've already sold out. Now there are people hoping to get out. Here in the hourly, we had a cross way up here. We're starting to come down. These red lines here are high definition volume indicators. In order to get that indicator, you have to have a paid subscription with TradingView, and you can get 60% off. It's the best way to do it. I think it'll be offered to you. Anyway, just don't pay full retail, and also turn off your auto renew so you auto renew gain the 60% discount each year. The November thing, Black Friday deal stuff. It's affordable, and it's really cool because with the highest level of membership, if you do a demo, you get a free month. Take the highest level of it and then cancel it if you can't afford it, but you can get access to 1 second, 5 second, all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, I think you're restricted to 1 minute on all the other levels. So if you're going to be doing high leverage trading, you need the higher time frames. But what am I looking for? I'm looking for on the hourly for this to come back down and to go a little bit below the line. See how this went below on the 30-minute? That's about how far below the Bollinger Band I'm looking for. That's like a 98% chance that's how far it's going to be. If you want to know the technical thing, it's a 3% standard deviation. Bollinger Bands are set to 2 by default. Just change it to 3 and you'll see the actual, most likely, how far it will actually dip. It's so unless it's going, so like this one here, That 3% standard deviation would bring this line here down to about here. And it all depends on how motivated you are to get in a trade. You may, if you set, I set traps. So I might, if I want to really get in, I might start a trap here, 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 and go down to the next psychological support. So Bitcoin, 31,000. So the next psychological support is 31,000. And then it goes into hundreds, right? Like 31,500 be the next big support. And then you get the idea. And you'll see it. It's just psychology more than logic or mathematics. You can't create a quant algorithm to fully quantify human behavior. Maybe AI can help us with that, but but you see it happening over and over and over again. So what causes fear of missing out caused these spikes, right? No one with smart money was buying when this was happening. They started selling smart money, probably started selling here, and then they started buying here. In fact, whenever I see things go narrow and sideways, I'm thinking big money's buying. And then whatever triggers the fear of missing out, the FOMO, the excitement. Today it was a law thing related to XRP and whether or not crypto are considered equity assets under their purview. That is what triggered this. So the daily thing, this thing called MACD. A lot of folks trade on this. Tells me that it's turning and wanting to go up. Well, that's kind of cool. We almost saw this rally about to take shape anyway with this indicator. Yeah. In every one of these time frames, you're analyzing the same golf swing, different time frame. So what are we seeing here in the hourly? We're seeing people selling off. People are taking losses because, people that bought in here 10% upside down, if they're leveraged here, they started getting liquidated somewhere around here. And why? Because their strategy did not take into consideration that this was going to happen. And it's really easy and common sense to just figure those strategies out. But, I spent $1,500 on a trading course, and I immediately saw errors in the logic of the methodology. So I ended up creating my own. I have a student who's spent more money than even I have on training and whatever. And she tells me, and I don't like to brag, right? But she tells me my stuff she hasn't seen it anywhere else. I take that as a compliment. I just solve problems. That's what I get out of this. It's a lot of fun. Okay, on the right side of this, when I'm doing active trading, where like I'm sitting here, and I can do this on my cell phone without these charts now, but for a while I would reference these charts, and I would be logged in on the web, and I would also have the app on my phone just in case I lost cell service or was a disruption or something. Having a little redundancy. These time frames, I'm going to go from the longest to short. So these are a little weird, and I'll explain why I have these here. This one here is 5 minutes. This one here is 3 minutes. This one here is 1 minute. This one over here is 15 minutes. This one here is 15 seconds. And this one is 5 seconds. You're like, okay, David, I don't get it. Well, let me explain it to you. I review all of this so I know if I'm in a trade for a day, what's going to be happening. If we look at the daily here, most likely this is going to come down a little bit, and maybe it'll start going red a day or two while profits happening, or it's going to just go sideways. But this is telling me that there's momentum to push that up. And every asset has its own flavor. There's Ethereum. There's XRP. Even Matic had a little bit of it had a little bit of a spike too. Keep going, Matic. I got a bot on Matic, so I'm excited about that one. All right, so they each have their own personality and flavor, but they're all kind of usually in sync until they're not. Nothing is written in stone. You have to devise a strategy that adapts to changing market conditions that change by the second or by the minute. And there's a way to do it. Just keep asking yourself, how do I account for the unknown? How do I account for the unexpected? How can I account for the worst case scenario? And think about it. I give you the answer, but you won't understand it until you figure it out yourself. The answer is having a proper buffer ratio. I can show you how to trade with I have access through a DeFi chain exchange of up to 200x leverage. And I have a strategy on how to trade that with zero risk. And I don't know why hedge funds and these people aren't doing that way. They get amazing returns, but they're greedy. Imagine already wealthy people gambling with billions of dollars. How stupid is that? When we had the opportunity to win $2.2 billion last year, I actually ran the numbers on the residual income nature of $1 billion. And I got pissed at already wealthy people because they don't have any stewardship. And it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm writing a book about it. I'm always writing a book about something. I have over 100 writing projects, so I finally got one done. Forbidden AI by POTU David. I thought it was cute. It was actually insightful. AI blew me away. All right. So so down here at the 15 minute, this tells me what's going on in our 15 minutes, what's going to be happening in the next 15 minutes, kind of where's the pressure. I can over here look at 30 minutes. What am I seeing here? I'm seeing that we're going sideways. Do you see that? We're going sideways. We're also seeing that we've lost the downward momentum. See how these went from dark orange to light orange? And they eventually turned to green, right? It's just a visual thing. We're also way down under here, right? We're not on top like we are some over here, some of these other places. See how the MAC lines are way over here in the daily, they're on top. These are underneath. Okay. I also am seeing this MFI indicator is all the way at the bottom. There's someone out there that teaches, they just trade on the MFI all by itself. They don't look at any of this other stuff. And most of the indicators that they try to sell you for $100 a month, usually they've just matrixed these three things into one thing that turns red and green, and you lose a lot with it. But hey, they got an 80% success rate, and that's better than, you only need a 52% success rate to make money. And I just I hate losing. So I developed a strategy where I can not have to take a loss unless I want to. Have you ever been liquidated? Yeah, especially early on. And you know what? Every liquidation I ever experienced was because of some government or some already rich prick defrauding the world in some way. Total unethical crap. Whether it was our government or it was China shutting down a network, or if it was Russia invading another country after telling the world they're just doing troop exercises, lying to the world, whatever. Every time I either early on when I didn't know how to buffer properly, I got liquidated, or I think it's like 3 times in 3 years. It's been over a year because I just refined the strategies. Like, I hate this. It was a learning curve. I learned more through those than I did through my successes, because I had to ask myself, how can I prevent that next time? I mean, I can't anticipate China shutting down their power grid because they want to screw around with Bitcoin. And what happened? Well, they became authoritarian, and all the Bitcoin mining moved to Texas. They lost all that money and revenue for their country and their citizens and all this other sort of stuff. And they proved to the world, don't trust the Chinese government. Sorry, Beijing or whatever your name is. You're a great country. You have all this philosophy and stuff, and you haven't figured it out. But you guys they're starting to attack the US dollar, right? The US dollar, world currency, all that sort of stuff, the base currency. It was established, after World War II? It's a great scheme. We buy stuff, we print money to pay for it. Wouldn't you like that? That's what the US government's been doing as a world currency. Other countries, we loan you money at interest. We loan you US dollars. Talk about a scheme and scam. If you're a US citizen, we are 300 million people. on a planet of about 8 billion. That other 770, no, that other 7.7 billion people have figured out the scam. Yeah, we're going to be dealing with it, as we should. It hasn't been honorable. Just because I'm a U.S. citizen and I am proud and I'm a former Marine honorably discharged doesn't mean I can't say, well, this process is wrong. And, people in power, they're old folks that have had this power and they've had the scam going all their lives. So they can't even see the fact that their days are numbered and that they're hurting us. They've destroyed our tax base over the last 50 years, going nearshore and offshore. And it was a cooperative thing. It wasn't the Democrats that did it. It wasn't the Republicans. It was both of them working together for short-term profits. Doesn't impact them. They're all multimillionaires. Yeah, so we're going to go through some pain, but we're a big country. We're a powerful country. We're an adaptive country. And, we'll figure it out. And these other countries have been getting screwed. They're just going to stop participating. And that's called freedom, right? I kind of respect that. I don't necessarily respect their methods of governance, but, what was the old book? Was it? It's out of date. Eat the Rich. It's not about anything about complaining about rich people. It's a horrible title. It's actually a comparative analysis of good capitalism, bad capitalism, good socialism, bad socialism, good communism, bad communism, and about a half a dozen other isms that you and I have never heard of. There's examples of it. A lot of folks, well, they want the United States to become a Christian theocracy. Well, there are actual theocracies out there that have been that way for hundreds of years. We can see what the results of that is. It used to be called the Dark Ages, but, that's just my opinion. I don't mean to upset anybody, but, we have the data in an information age where we don't have to guess about any of that anymore. It's just silly. The only thing AI is a threat to is already wealthy people being exposed, because the average person like you and me can start asking hard questions, and it goes out there and sorts and sifts through all the BS that has been flooded out there and just sorts it out and gives you an answer, a factual answer that it verifies. And then you can go cross-check it against authoritative, peer-reviewed. When I say peer-reviewed, I mean our enemies have reviewed it and agreed type of thing. Peer-reviewed data. AI can take what would cost you 10 years of your life and you can do it in about 15 minutes. It's amazing. It may end the world as rich people's power because it exposes them. You can drop in a legal document you're being sued with and it'll analyze it for you and probably give you a better result than hiring a lawyer. It'll tell you you should hire a lawyer, and you should, right? But you don't have to wait. You don't have to spend $400 to $1,200 an hour to get an opinion. Yeah, AI is amazing. I started working on a course, but everyone else and the brother's doing a course, so why bother? It can help you figure things out. I'm stuck in a trade. What can I do? I actually shared some of that information, so at least ChatGPT 4 should have good answers to that question. All right, let's see. Back to this. Sorry, I got segued. The 5 minute, the 3 minute, and the 1 minute. I'm really looking for the 3 minute. Notice how this came down to the 3% standard deviation. The reason why I'm using that language, even if you're not familiar with it, is so you can start getting familiar with it. Because why not be better than everybody else, right? And look, it went down to there. So, a good entry point would have been somewhere around here. Now, here's what happens. When this happened, let's see if we can find it on the 5-second chart. Let's see. This bottomed out. Where is it? Oh, this must have been a long. Wow, this is 5 seconds. We may not have the access today. Okay. See how these targeting charts line up? Do you see this down here? Here. It's the one in the middle on the lower left. 5 seconds. Here is bottomed out on the 3 minute. What was happening in the 5 second? This was happening in the 5 second. I can see this starting to happen in the 5 and 15 seconds, and then I can see when it starts to turn after this has happened. Almost all your trading courses are going to, well, first of all, they don't even teach you to look at the 3 minute. They tell you to monitor the 1 minute, which is good luck. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're going to get hosed. Or they tell you to trade on the hourly. You know, it is cool. But this 3 minute, no one looks at. I don't know why. I don't know where I got the idea. I think it was some old book that I came across. I should use AI to see so I can cite where I learned this from. But anyway, when this was happening, you could see it in 3 bars here. But here, this is, you would see it happening in the 5 seconds. You would see the massive, and it would be a massive dip down. It would show up in the 15 seconds, and you would see it turn in the 5. You would see it turning here in the 3. You would see it starting to show up in the 1. And you'd see it bottoming out on the 3. Most people would train you until you have a 3rd confirmation candle, right? Get in here. What happens when you get in there? Everyone whines. Well, what happens? Every time I get in, the market reverses itself. Well, yeah, it's a bad strategy. It's a strategy that doesn't work. Doesn't even work for hedge fund managers. But it's designed kind of from a stock strategy. This isn't the stock market. It's hilarious to me. But they do automated trading in milliseconds, high frequency trading. They have servers on the exchanges in the same building with a direct, probably a fiber optic connection to the exchange. And, you know, this 5 second or 1 second thing, they've probably been in and out 50 times scalping profits. That's what the big money's doing. They're not doing this stuff. Unless they're just training somebody, but they don't let people who are training have access to stuff. But yeah, this whole, yeah. So look at this. I'm in here. I get in somewhere in here. The next candle is still red. I'm already halfway to my profit. And depending on what the trading range is, so between here and here, I have a spreadsheet for that. I won't trade unless the 3 minute has a trading range where I can get like a 30 to 33% ROI on the trade between here and the middle Bollinger Band. Why? Because look at what happens. It goes up a little bit above and comes back. It doesn't go all the way up here. Everyone wants it to skyrocket like it today. It very seldom does that. It goes up and comes down and it goes up again. Right now it's coming down. Here we can even see it. You're seeing it happen in real time. Look at it. It's already starting to reverse. You can see it on the 15 second, but look at the 3 minute. Look at what I'm seeing on the 5 second, 15 second. Do you see what I'm seeing? But is it low enough? Well, the MFI is down. MFI is here. So it actually may go sideways a little bit. Oh, we're starting to see a little green on the 3 minute. This might not be a bad place to get in. That's some powerful shit. I mean, that is literally having a short-term crystal ball. Could it reverse and could go down? Yeah, certainly could. Why? Because shit happens. We have a little doji. Oh, it's pushing down. So if you got in, guess what? You're about even now. You may have to wait this out a little bit. So in this case, what is there? There isn't enough room here, so I wouldn't even be in the market. The market's moving too slow. The market moves really fast on openings, and there's like, I'm looking at a thing I literally have mounted on the wall that shows me the openings and closings around the world. Volatility happens there, and usually I'm not going to get into all that, but because of automated trading on like grayscale trust type stuff where they're not trading 24/7, they're tied to the equities markets, it builds up pressure to either shoot up or down upon opening. And usually it'll go down first, right? Because those are all the people wanting to take profits or exit positions because they're upside down. And then it activates all sorts of bots that see that as an advantage to buy. So it's really easy to do what I call set traps around openings. Um, I don't really do the straddle thing. It's a stock market thing. It's they get really sophisticated because, then they get an option to cover their whatever because they're over leveraged in their trade. And, if you're going to over leverage in a trade, yeah, you should probably have an option to protect yourself. It's like buying an insurance policy. But, when you're dealing with, $1 million accounts, and you have a team of people that work different aspects of that strategy that are available for the trade. They're not just doing it themselves. Oh, look, it just took off. We're talking. So right now we almost are to that middle Bollinger Band. Let's see if it makes it. And based on when I think we would have entered, it looks like we will have been in, and I would have already set an exit for profit. If it spikes up higher, less than 15 minutes. But the market's slow. Ideally, you'd want to do this inside of 3 minutes. Anyway, or 2 candles. Anyway, I did that last week. I think in Ethereum, I just tested something. I hadn't traded Ethereum forever. I switched to Bitcoin because it has more volatility. Everyone says, "Oh, volatility is bad." It's like, no, volatility good. Notice here in the 1 minute, we're starting to cross. Look at this. It's not clean, right? It's not a nice, beautiful, clean thing like these things, right? But it's fighting it. See, we got a doji in the green. Now we kind of got a doji. We got 10 seconds left. Is that gonna turn green or stay red? If it stays red, it's probably gonna go down a little bit. If it turns green at the last minute, we're gonna leap up. Let's see what happens. 2, 1, 0. Boom. All right. Pushing down. Yeah. So anyway, I wouldn't have been in this trade. But this is how I look at this stuff if I'm active trading. What's bad about active trading? You have to be there looking at this stuff, making these decisions. And then what happens if it goes against you? Like the SEC person farted sideways and the fart said the word crypto, and all of a sudden the market plunges 5% within like a minute. What do you do? Well, you need to have a strategy for it. Time and market, the market will teach you all of the strategies that I've already documented. You don't really need me, but you can't be sitting there. Well, I got $1,000, David. I'm going to start trading. It's like, no, don't do that. $5 and use the trial funds and then back it up with 10. Right? There's your ratio. You have $5 that you're trading with, you backed up by $5 in case you get in trouble. And then you have $5 set aside in your primary account that you could move over in a worst case scenario. And you have a $15 trading budget. That's not how they teach hedge fund managers to train. Hedge fund managers spend a year doing paper trading or something like that. And then it's just like, paper trading isn't going to teach you the skills necessary to be a good trader. You need to be working real money, even if it's a quarter. Right now, Ethereum's at 19, almost 2,000. So it will cost you about 21 cents to go into a 0.01 ETH trade at 100x leverage. That's how you should be learning how to trade. What happens if you make 30%? Well, yeah, you could have made 30% on $1,000 or 10,000 or $1 million, but you don't have the skill. Why pay $1,500 to someone like me? I would probably charge more. I charge $333,333 after you've completed mission 20, which is only about a 6.6% tip based on your profits. I ran the numbers. I have a thing with threes. It's my thing. I'll talk about that another time. The point is, if you're using small dollar amounts to learn with, you're dealing with your own emotions. You're seeing the impacts of what happens if you get liquidated. What happens if you get auto margined, right? How do fees impact it? How does staying in a trade overnight where you're assessed fees 3 times a day, how does that impact your trade? Wouldn't you rather learn inside of a 20-cent trade backed up by $5? What is that ratio? It's too, I can't be thinking like that. I'm at the end of almost a 24-hour long day here. So $5 divided by 0.20. So that's a 25 to 1 safety margin, but you have a total of $15, right? So you actually have a 75 to 1 training budget with $15. You can't do that in stocks. You can't do that in options. You can't do that in commodities. You can't even do it with a lotto ticket. You can do it with crypto. You know what I love about KuCoin? They call themselves the People's Exchange. And they're the last holdout. So are there DeFi exchanges out there? Yeah. And that's where people are going to be forced to go to trade. Are they regulated? Nope. Is there a danger? Yeah. You have to factor in the cost of probably putting your money on the exchange, doing your trades, taking your money off the exchange, and keeping your money in a wallet the way they used to do it years ago. And it's expensive to trade that way. They're not stopping people from trading. A good trader can factor that in. It's not a big deal. It's a little bit more complicated, yeah. But right now, we don't have consumer adoption. We're still almost having commercial adoption. And they don't, the U.S. government doesn't want people like me becoming ECP qualified or whatever the hell it's called, because they know I'll become politically active, questioning them. I'll be spending $5,000 at their plate, asking them, why are you discriminating against homeless people? Yeah. And those conversations need to happen, but we don't have wealthy people that it doesn't impact them. So it's off their radar. The moment it impacts them, though, it's on their radar. And most of us are just struggling to make rent and pay food. And a lot of us are failing. We've been failing for the last year, right? I live in Oregon, so we have a homeless epidemic. I wrote the new governor saying, excuse me, but I get that you're focused on homeless housing, but what are you doing to stop people from becoming homeless in the first place? Sorry, not much. You know, I think one of the ways that you stop an artery from bleeding is to stop the bleed, not just pump more blood in through another vein. I mean, it's just stupid. And that's one of as I get older, I have less of a tolerance for stupid stuff. And so, intelligent people probably don't even want to deal with politics because it's a game and it's fun if you're the person in power, but it's not, it's just, it's icky, but we need good quality, intelligent people to get into it. Not dumb people. Nothing against dumb people. Okay. Failed education in certain states is failed education. But until those people actually learn about stuff, we shouldn't be giving them reins of power anywhere. And it's a mess. And I've got theories. I got my own conspiracy theories, which is way different than anything I've read anywhere. United States stock market, right? Either one of them, NASDAQ or the NY, whatever it is, the big one. But 20, 30 years ago wasn't owned mainly by U.S. citizens. I think like 20 years ago, it was like 33% of our stock markets were owned by Saudi Arabia interests, not U.S. citizen interests. We all know that, corporations buy our government, right? Well, if U.S. citizens aren't owning our corporations, right? Like General Electric isn't even U.S. owned anymore. A lot of them have moved to Dubai because, after the war came to an end, that one big company that was the contractor, they moved their whole offices to Dubai just to avoid having their records subpoenaed. The guys that needed all their payments delivered to them by U.S. pallets flown over to Iraq. Yeah, because, they wouldn't want to use the fiat banking system because that would be tracing the money going to that company, right? That's why I have such disdain. I love the ideals of our country. We just don't even most of the citizens don't even understand them. Our elected leaders don't understand them. Our rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness have been infringed from before I was born. And we just accepted it. And I don't know how to fix it. It makes me sad because, we were part of establishing universal human rights. I call it sentient rights. Why? Well, we dehumanize fellow humans, so we need a better word than just human rights. Because if I can say, well, that person's subhuman because of whatever reason, it's just no. It never was good. It was never right, ever. And that's our history, and we're trying to bury our own history instead of learn from it. Oh, wait a second. While we were talking, we noticed that this kind of went up and touched this middle Bollinger Band, or actually went above it. So I would have been out somewhere in here after. So actually, this was our buy in here. Had this little stuff. I would have been out probably there. It would have worked. And then, of course, it started going back down again. In which case, I wait for it to bottom out. It's getting close there. Time for another trade. I'm actually working on a robot to do that stuff for me. I'm working with AI. So, man, I just kind of gave away the farm. But again, you can listen to this and re-listen to this and just do it. Lesson number 1, if you were to have been one of the DTC founders or someone I was working with, friends or family, or if I was charging you $3,000 or $50 or whatever. Lesson number 1, okay, I'm going to give it to you for free. It's called Let's Get Liquidated. It's a game. Okay. So Ethereum moves slower. So it's this train on Ethereum. It's kind of cool. Your smallest entry is 0.01 ETH. All right. I actually have a formula for this in a spreadsheet where it'll calculate based on price, what size, how much money you should have it for this training process. Let's just say $15. Okay. Your goal is to turn off auto margining. What auto margining is if the market moves against you, instead of getting liquidated, it'll automatically deposit money to give you more margin. And it can be pretty brutal. There's ways of taking care of that without, it's kind of like the last resort safety valve. Everyone teaches, make sure you have that turned off. I'll tell you, if you have it turned off, you're going to get liquidated a lot. Just saying. So I devised a strategy that actually utilizes that to my advantage, and it works like a charm. That is what enables me to say, I haven't lost a trade in a year. In fact, in the last 3 years, I've actually lost very, very few trades. And of the some trades that I did lose, some of them were very significant. But it didn't really matter because of what I had become financially empowered. So I actually laughed at each one of them, except for the FTX one. I was pissed at that dude. Already rich person, wealthy, already a $28 billion net worth, had to screw around and defraud already other wealthy people. If he would have just screwed over little people, he'd still be in court talking about it. But he screwed over big money. And for what? I mean, he was in his little sex commune down in the Bahamas, right? Rich daddy. Why did he have to just defraud people? That's where after him, it's just like rich pricks, not happy. They don't know how to be wealthy. They have no sense of stewardship, which is why I'm writing a book about it. I think it's going to be titled something like, are you ready to be a billionaire? Billionaire training for billionaires and non-billionaires who are, I don't know. I have to work out the titles. And I totally lost what I was going to say. Oh, yes. Training. 0.1 ETH. First lesson. It's titled, Let's Get Liquidated. So you turn off auto margin so that if it goes against you and you didn't enter properly, you're gonna lose that 0.01 ETH, which today would be 23 cents. Okay, my guess. Less than the cost of Miss Pac-Man when I was a teenager, which was a quarter. You can do this lesson as a game. Reference point, right? All right. Here's the game. You, based on what you know or what you think you know, man, actually, you could probably win with what I've shared today, especially on the high speed stuff. Um, double your money or get liquidated. It's your goal. It's an either or. Either get liquidated or you double your money. And why is this important? Because you need to experience what it is to get liquidated. You get the warning emails, all this sort of stuff, and you learn all that shit with real live experience, no sandbox, in the real live market for less than a quarter as a training fee. I'd suggest that rather than spending $1,500, you just keep putting quarters into this game until you start winning every single time with no losses. And then once you figured that out, then you can turn on your auto margin. Then you never get liquidated, even if China turns off their power or some stupid thing. It's cool. It's cool stuff. All right. Sales pitch. I think I've earned the right to give a little bit of a sales pitch. The only thing I got going for sales, I got a book on Amazon called Forbidden AI by POTU David. It's $3.33. Kindle only. That's another story for another time. I learned so much working with outsourcing and editors, and it was just horrible. The book content, however, is really interesting if you're into AI. Everyone thinks AI is going to destroy the world. AI blew me away by accident, and then I wrote that book, which took about a month. Okay. But anyway, it's really, really cool. More importantly is Patreon, where there's a $5 a month membership to support this. I work full time, work a swing shift. There's so much more I can do, but I need like 3,333 members at $5 a month to buy my life contract back. I mean, buy my time back, because I've got like 11 working years left before age 70. All right. And I make pretty good money. I'm one of the original IT guru geeks. I work in a data center and mainframe stuff, and I've done the PC stuff. I've done programming. I'm getting back into programming because I want to program a custom bot for DTC. I usually test these things first before I release it to folks. But anyway, that's what I'm working on right now. And that's just here. I've got like a bazillion other little projects, but my heart really is here because I really believe that our world we as a species are in jeopardy because we have very, very wealthy people still making decisions as if they were broke peasants. They're afraid of losing their money. It's a fear-based lens. And I'm not talking about hope and faith and belief, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, those are very powerful things in certain situations. But when you become a billionaire, you're worried about losing that billion, right? When you win the lottery, even though 70% of all big lottery winners end up broke within 5 years or less, right? Worse off. Why is that? How could you win hundreds of millions of dollars and lose it all? Oh, they just wasted their money. It's like, no, there's psychology involved with here. There's programming. There's all sorts of stuff that I believe I figured out. Part of what I do is because I've kind of, for the most part, conquered my own mind game, is what I call it. Those little affirmations are an example. That's more important training than this stuff is. You won't even you'll be able to execute this stuff with a 20-cent trade, but could you do it with a $20,000 trade when you know you don't have proper liquidity? Because when you start trading over 50 ETH in a trade, suddenly there's a little bit of delay of getting your order filled. How are you going to handle that mentally and emotionally? I don't know. Yeah. How do I know that? Not theory. I've experienced it. That's one of the issues with Ethereum. I'll give you another tip. If you start trading above 50 ETH, you're going to have fulfillment liquidity issues on KuCoin. Binance, not so much. You're going to have to switch over to Bitcoin because Bitcoin generally doesn't have liquidity issues until you start dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars. And even those get filled pretty fast. $1 billion buy, like what, didn't Elon Musk do that? Caused the Elon Musk spike. I rode that baby. I made some nice profit off of that one. I just saw it happen and I just hopped on and surfed it out the top. Um, but there was enough liquidity for him to do that. How a professional hedge fund manager does it is they start buying until they start seeing that candle move and they know it's them making the movement and they back off. That's why you see it go sideways, because they don't want anyone to know that big money, smart money is buying and accumulating. Some people teach that, but it's really, you have to start asking yourself, what's causing this movement? Get inside the head of a hedge fund manager that is over leveraged, but is a multimillionaire making millions of dollars, and he only needs to maybe make scalp 2 or 3% in order for him to, be a millionaire again this week, right? And yet some of these people, that's all they really need to do, and if they have proper ratios, but instead they're going all in because they hired a PhD in quant mathematics to analyze the historic patterns going back the last 5 years, and none of that shit matters. What you see show up in these candles in the different time frames matrix together is an example of information flow and human emotion. That's why even PhD quant whatevers, right? They're advising these big hedge funds, and these hedge funds are routinely bloodbathing and killing their accounts. It's crazy. But if they're smart, they take the easy 1%. 1% on $1 billion is a shitload of money. Do that in a gain. Doing that in the crypto market is almost a no-brainer. In fact, you'd have a hard time not making 3%. When I teach people what I do, I say, just try to limit your ROI to 3%. Just try. See if you can do it. My partner, Diana, has never been able to do it in 3 years. I call her the purple ninja. She is really, really good. She's taken my concepts and has developed, without using spreadsheets, without using a calculator, she's created a trade by the seat of her pants methodology, which I actually ran the numbers on. And I discovered, like, wait a second, she's literally created a zero risk trading methodology using nothing but high leverage. I didn't even think that was possible, but I ran the numbers and I figured out her secret. And she didn't know she was doing it. She still doesn't even understand. I don't think. Maybe she does. I think I've explained to her. I don't think she fully grasps what she's done subconsciously. Someday, I want to get her to come on and just talk about what she knows. She's a little camera shy. She's just the cutest, nicest human being you'd ever meet. She's really good at trading. In fact, we started doing this during COVID, and I thought, well, I'm an essential person, and she got laid off, right? And which was cool financially for her, but she was like, what do I do? I said, why don't you take up trading? She said, oh, I could never do that. I found a program by a woman that if you were to watch a training, you'd be bored to death. She's cute. Her strategies kind of sort of work. But the value you get is like, wow, if someone like that can become very successful doing this, well, I can do this, which is what you really want as a trainer, right? And so she started watching. She said, well, I could try doing this. And then she started doing the Sandbox account. And after a couple of days, she said, I can't do this. Sandbox sucked. I need to trade real money. And she did. And she learned harder and faster. And it was just a lot of fun. And it was an incredible story. I've shared the story on some of my other videos on my YouTube channel. But yeah, it was a cool experience. It's worth it. If you had to start with no training, with just what little has been shared in this little video was about KuCoin. This training piece lasts, 40 minutes or hour, is us all bonus for those of you that just didn't leave. There's enough here for you to get started, and you never have to give me a dime or anything. I've given you the ability to learn financial empowerment. The market will teach you everything you need. I would just beg you, $5 until you can turn 5 to 10 reliably with zero losses. You have not learned it yet, right? It's a way better deal than spending $1,500 before they even tell you, well, do a sandbox for 6 months. I mean, seriously. And you can't do high leverage training right now at KuCoin. You'll be able to do 20x, right? In the United States, we're fighting in the commodities market to get an EFT where they can use 2x leverage. I don't think I've ever used 2x leverage. The lowest leverage I've ever used is 3. But there's this big money battle happening in Washington, D.C. over 2x leverage. I'm like, oh man, I was really excited. KuCoin let BTC have 125x. What does that mean to me? That means I can get in and out faster and hit my profit margins with less risk. All right. Anyone that's lasted this long, I'm going to give you something worth the $333,333. And if you're a hedge fund manager watching this and this like lights you up, you owe me a tip. Big. Help me get retired. All right. Not through a $5 Patreon subscription. Just contact me. I'll give you an address. You pay the taxes on it. The point is, your risk is not leverage. Your risk is time in trade. The longer you're in the trade, the higher the probability that China could turn off their power, Elon could send a tweet, the SEC person could text something, post something, someone could pretend to be somebody and hack something. It's just crazy. If you can pull I can show you on one of my spreadsheets where you can create your own spreadsheets. It's better if you do it yourself. It's really kind of weird. It's like, well, if you create your own spreadsheets, you'll use them. But if you take mine, you won't use them. Not even my wife. She won't use my spreadsheets. She won't use them. I've created ones just for her. I told her I'm not going to create more spreadsheets for her, but I'll help her outline one. But she's got to do it herself. She doesn't need to. She just doesn't need to. The point is, I can show you, you can use a spreadsheet to scale a 1% ROI, 2%, 3%, and just compound that. And if it took you to do that, if you could do a 1% ROI once a week, you can figure out how long it would take you to achieve whatever your financial goal is. Pay off debt, great. Pay off your house mortgage, great. Do both, great. Do that and become a millionaire, yeah, you can do that too. You want to get that qualifications where you have $10 million net worth, do that too. It's just a function of time. That's the other secret. Everyone wants results. They want to win the big lottery, but they're not ready for the big lottery. Even if they won, it would hurt them. I'm going to explain that why. So hang out with me or keep an eye on me or whatever. This whole billionaire thing. I've got a spreadsheet that I can prove to you that if you've been taught to tithe, or if you're part of the Islamic community, it's called zakat. It's like 3%, 2.5, whatever it is. No disrespect to anyone out there. Doesn't matter. If that's your idea of stewardship, you were trained to be a peasant slave. You were not trained to be a ruler. You were not trained to be a steward, because you don't even understand what giving is. And I can show you a superior way of giving where you're giving more, while at the same time being a good steward. I've blown people's minds away. But if you're just working for a living and, you got a weekly paycheck, then tithing makes total sense, or zakat, or whatever it is, 10%. But it's the most irresponsible thing you can do if you win $100 million or $1 billion, because you can do better. You can be a good steward. And we need more wealthy people being good stewards. Right now, I just don't see it. Maybe Sir Richard Branson. He's the only billionaire that I think hasn't ruined his marriage, and he's an interesting story, but all the rest of them are just something wrong with them. They may be geniuses, they're right place, right time. They may be ruthless, they got a lot of grit, but who wants to be that as a human being? I don't think we need that. That ideology, regardless of religious or philosophical or social economic polarization or bias that you may have or born and raised with. What we have globally, any of our nations that have nuclear power, for example, uh, we're running self-destruction based on any one of them just going nuts for whatever reason. Um, we got some real problems in terms of leadership and power. We don't know. We have people who are born and raised with this peasant ideology who become wealthy, and I can respect that, or a lot of them inherited, or, I think I saw a meme recently that really described it. You or I, average person, we work, go to college, and we work hard and we risk, we fail, and we're done. But a lot of the people that we are wealthy, it's like they had wealthy parents, and it's not bullshit. It's statistically proven. Don't take my word for it. Go validate yourself. Like one of our most famous political people that became president, he failed. Daddy bought him out. 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 He's not the only story about that. That is a common thing, or they had that safety net in place. It's an anomaly for anyone without money to make it. I look at Mark Zuckerberg. He's a great example. But he's like one of the richest men in the world, right? Doesn't he only own like 4 or 5 or 6% of the company he founded? Well, he was able to do what he did because already wealthy people came in, took over most of his company. I haven't seen the contract, whatever. But they're making the vast majority. They've probably made trillions. Well, he's made billions. But they're entities, they're not people. That's why you don't see their individual name show up as the richest person in the world. It's kind of crazy. And they don't pay taxes. How does that happen? Their companies do, but they don't. Why? Because they're not employed by their companies. They don't have an income tax. Capital gains tax is based on your income tax rate. If you have zero income, you have a zero tax rate. Kind of crazy. Those laws change all the time, whatever. But if you're wondering how they were able to do it, it's some scheme like that. Yeah, it's crazy. It's cool. You guys won. All right. You guys that can afford to pay taxes aren't. And those of us who can't afford to pay taxes anymore, you're trying to take away all of our benefits that we've earned. They're not privileges, right? They're not entitlements. And you want us to pay for everything. And they used to tax wealthy people, 90-some%, 95%, and they were still millionaires. It's how we got things done. It's how we had the golden era. Why? Because the people who could afford taxes paid them. And why do we protect wealthy people? Because we think someday we'll be wealthy, so we want to preserve that for ourselves. Okay, that's greed and fear combined. Certainly not stewardship. Isn't making our world a better place, and it doesn't support the golden rule. It's frustrating to see all this money and it's being it's misstewardship. You and I are born and raised, be steward, whatever our belief system, our ideology was. Golden rule stewardship was part of our upbringing. A lot of wealthy people was not. Whole different world. And what's happening is they're trending us towards extinction. We've already crossed multiple tipping points, and science is probably the only thing that might save us. And I know other people are waiting for the horn to honk and everything like that, and deity to come save us, or some guy to crawl out of the well, and then someone's going to come save us, or aliens are going to come save us. And I just don't think it works like that. I don't think you can be irresponsible, destroy yourself, and then Big Daddy in the sky is going to come and save us, especially when we have the capability of not going there. It doesn't. It's a great ideology for wealthy people to put on working people to keep them working so they don't fight back or something. I don't know. It's crazy what's going on in our world. So I'm at 59, so I've crossed the halfway point, and it's really kind of weird just seeing things from the lens of what I've experienced in life so far. And I've experienced a lot. I've had a good life. I haven't been rich. I've been in the top 1% income during Y2K for a couple of years. I actually reached that thing where you stop paying Social Security and stuff. And I could have kept paying more Social Security, but it's kind of cool. That's a lot of money that goes back into your paycheck when you're not paying that. But this is not life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. We've had a very sophisticated thing happening since bankers were allowed. European bankers were allowed back in our country prior to the Great Depression happening. In the 1800s, they were marched off U.S. soil at gunpoint back on their boats saying, we don't want your banking in our country. And somehow they got back in. That's my theory. It's hard to sort it out. We can't even figure out what happened a couple years ago, let alone 100 or 1,000 or 1,800 or 2,000 years ago. It's just kind of crazy what we're willing to fight for, kill others for and stuff. All right. Oh, look at this. See, it's been going up and down, up and down. Look at this. Look at how many times this is a 3-minute chart. So 1, 2, 3. This would have been, what is this? This happened just before 1 o'clock. And this just happened just now. So 3 interesting trades in 3 hours. Trade an hour. So if I'm getting 33%, I don't trade my entire portfolio. So if I'm getting 33% ROI on my trade, 3 trades, I've doubled my trade. So if I was trading, let's say $1,000, I would have made $1,000 roughly. I'd have to look to see if there's actually enough space here for it to actually get that percentage at 125x. I have a spreadsheet for that. You can't do it. Well, some people can do it in your head. I can't. But I have a spreadsheet that instantly tells me what, including fees, what space needs to be in here on the 3-minute, or if it's a 15-minute timeline, what that looks like. Oh, look at this. This is the 5-minute. So this happened in the last 10 minutes. We went from here to here. Not bad. I love this stuff. I love making hard things simpler. It's just one of the things I love doing. And I love teaching people. I love empowering them. That's why I don't do an alert thing, or people charge $100 or $200 a month for trading alerts. By the time I would send the alert out, and by the time you received it and understood it, I would have been in and out of the trade. That's how I train people to do. And that's empowering. I want people, friends, family, quality people like you who's watching this to be empowered. So if you end up being a political refugee and you go to Malta, get a job sweeping or burgers or whatever you're qualified to do, as soon as you have access to a used cell phone or a tablet and have Wi-Fi, if you have access to leverage, you can start what you used to be able to start with nothing, but that's gone now, I think. Maybe not. But you can start from there, become a financial powerhouse in 1 to 3 years with zero at whatever the refugee wage for the country you landed in is. You could do it if you have the freedom to have access to leverage. You have no idea how mentally, emotionally that empowering that it just changes your entire lens when you've done it, and you've done it again, and you've done it again, and you've done it again, just to prove it to yourself. Is this real? Can I really do this? I heard that this was possible, but did I actually do that with real money? And then, when you start doing 10 to 15 missions in different methodologies, and there's a way, we'll see. There used to be a way of doing it totally tax exempt, both now and in the future, through a Roth IRA. It took me 8 months to figure it out. And it took me, and part of that was sorting out the fraudsters versus legitimate ones, because you have to have a custodian that's registered with the IRS and stuff. But anyway, it's very interesting, but you're not going to really be interested in that until you are starting to just You've proven to yourself, starting with like mission 1, $5 to 10, mission 2 is 10 to 20, mission 3 is 20 to 40. And you do that somewhere between missions 10 and 15, it's going to hit you like, holy shit, I did this. And then you're not going to believe it. You're going to throw all that money in bots and you're going to start over. Only maybe this time it was $100. Boom, boom, boom. Well, the markets are crazy, but it doesn't matter. Took a little bit longer. Did it fast. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You start developing a resiliency in your confidence. And then the market does crazy stuff because crazy people are out there in the world, right? You learn how to deal with it. It might set you back, but then you learn how to deal with it. And it's like, wow, there's a sense of, you have that sense of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, because no matter what they do to try to take away from you, right? By then you will have created your own spreadsheets or used mine or adapted mine, whatever. And you've been able to run the numbers and you realize, I could do this with 1%. I could do this in Forex. I could do this in options. I could do this in stock market. I could do this in a commodities market, futures market. Because the principles, the chart interpretation, all of that, every asset and every asset class has its own personality. But what shows up in the data is human emotion. That translates across the board. And the easiest place to learn how to do it is with crypto, because crypto moves so fast. And because it's so unpredictable, like the stock market went through a 17-year bull run. And then the one time where it kind of didn't, the one dude that was like the magic man, right? He was just lucky for 17 years. He didn't know shit. And that story is common. It wasn't that they were lucky. It's just like, I experienced this during Y2K. Couldn't lose in the penny stock markets until, I think I doubled my money like 7 times in a row, and I just needed another 4 or 5 times. It was just incredible. But then the whole market changed. I did an analysis and realized that it didn't matter which penny stock I chose. They all just mooned in a cycle. I just was a little bit better at it because I learned a little bit about some patterns that were happening. Didn't have access to live data. It was really weird. I did better not having access to live data. I'd look at it, set my entry, trap get activated, I get a page. I would set my exit at like 100%. Day would go by, hours would go by, a week would go by, boom, I get the page, exited, rinse and repeat. In 2 months, I did that 7 times in a row, 0 losses. And then the entire market died, and then I took a loss for the first time because I didn't understand what I was doing. And the truth is, it didn't matter what I chose during that time period. If I would have started a month earlier with that same process, I would have been a multimillionaire. It's crazy. But that experience, what I learned there, gave me a foundation to see things in crypto. Anyway, it's just cool. It's really, really cool. I hope this has been helpful. All right. Catch up with me on Patreon or something. If you want to message me, I usually hang out on Facebook. I have a fan page there. I do try to answer questions and stuff within 24 hours. Yeah. It's 4:00. Well, I got to log off and go to bed hard and fast so I can get up, and today's my Thursday. So, man, this is exciting seeing the market coming back, though. I mean, literally, I made like $1,000 in my sleep, and I wish I would have woke up and can I say this? I wish I would have woken up more in my sleep cycle and checked things while I was taking a pee or something, and I would have noticed this 6:00 thing. Instead of making 1,000, I would have made about 12. Not even active trading, just letting shit ride. It's crazy. David, patience is profit, sir. Talking to myself. David, patience is profit. Today, you made good profit. Well, a lot of people lost money. You made really, really good money. However, you let a shit ton of money on the table because you weren't patient last night. after working all day. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, one of these years I'll learn that lesson. It's okay if you're not perfect. You actually need to account for your own possibilities, because you may be the unknown factor that messes up a trade. So you have to account for that. Okay. Since I threw that out there, I will share a quick ending story. So halfway through last year after COVID, I started noticing that I'd made duplicate purchases. I'm kind of an information hog. I like to buy stuff, right? To learn things. And I noticed I was starting to have inabilities to read very well, and short-term memory stuff. Long story short, a year and a half later, I figured out I wasn't getting enough deep sleep, and as a result of the COVID or whatever, and a concussion that I had like 8 years ago, I had concussion-like symptoms. They weren't as bad as a concussion, but I recognized the symptoms. This year, I kept finding early in the year, I would forget that I was in a highly leveraged trade. How do you forget that you're in a trade? And then I would go in to make a trade, and I was like, I'm already in a trade. When did I get it? And I could see when I did it, right? But it started freaking me out. So I started taking the strategies for active trading, and I translated it to low leverage bots, and even just a non-leveraged bot worked. It works a little bit better with a little bit of leverage. But I realized that I could set up the bot, and then if I forgot about it, it's okay. It would have been better if I would have forgotten about the bots in the last 24 hours. But what I noticed was the strategy itself in its inception, once it was set up, even though I forgot about it, I was good. I just missed a lot of exits when I could have made money and then re-entered, made money, re-entered. I missed some of those. But when I finally figured it out, I did the exit, and I did well, even with that impairment. And then I switched to bots, and then wrestled for most of this year trying to figure out, like, when I go to sleep, I'll wake up and not necessarily remember where I left off or what was important. To-do lists, all this sort of stuff, it just wasn't working. But I figured it out with a deep sleep thing. So I'm working on that, which has made me much more productive right now. But if you haven't seen me around making videos for the last few months, it's because I figured out that I was having a serious issue that was impeding everything. And I went into problem solving mode. So I wasn't going to, whine about it, but it's like, well, how do I deal with this? How do I fix it? How do I create a system? How do I work around this and stay on track, even with the impairments? Maybe I could never, maybe the COVID hurt me in such a way it's going to take me 3 years to recover. Just how long the initial concussion took. None of reality is whatever it is. Having the mindset and lens, like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's create a plan. Let's create a system. And I've been deep in that for the last 3 or 4 months. So I'm coming out of it because I've been getting deep sleep again. I'm excited. All right. Thanks for hanging in with me. Oh, someone has been hanging out with me. Someone from Twitch. I wonder if that's the person who tunes into me when I do these things over the last 6 months. Yeah, hope we connect up sometime. Anyway, best to everybody. And whenever you're watching this, I hope this has been helpful. Remember to like, subscribe, rewatch it, and study it on YouTube, please. It increases my hours, all that sort of thing. And if you can afford the $5 a month and you want to tune in to see what my stuff is I release first before I even release it to anyone else, then throw that $5 to the Patreon thing. It'd be nice to have another person over there. And the other person that's a member there, she is an awesome trader. No, she's an awesome trade with a D, and she is smart and her wisdom. Anyway, you'd be in good company, and she's a very giving person. So anyway, her name is Cynthia. All right, I think that's everything I got.